We woke up in the Bugmaster's throne, deep in the crater known as Arik. Our skeleton comrades were keeping the spiders from eating us in our sleep, but we were still being eaten away by a decision. What do we do with the captured Bugmaster? The Bugmaster was perhaps the most wanted living man in existence. Both the Sheikh and the United Cities would pay a fortune for him. Or we could keep him in our own prison known as the Fort. We could train with him in combat. He was extremely dangerous in combat, but then steel sharpens steel. Defeating the Bugmaster was likely going to cause ripples through history. Our faction, Sharpened Hope, was now well known. The waves of change were crashing into the present. We eventually decided to split up. Griffin would lead a group back to New Hope and to the fort, where we could detain the Bugmaster, at least for now. Kyle would lead a larger group south in search of more research. The Sheikh were keen for us to hand him over, but not yet. The Dust Bandits would never learn their lesson. The Bugmaster was secure within the fort, and the search team had already found huge amounts of research material. We had also captured a broken skeleton, who we would make a good training prisoner. Some well-earned rest was next. We were deep in the southwest, in an abandoned region known as Shun. Bongo knew the area, and he knew that food was scarce out there, so he led a supply run to join us. we still had a lot of area to cover. We began to run into Gorillo. It didn't take Bongo long to find us and provide us with much needed food. Good old Gohan. There was still more to search in the south. Bongo would join us. We were mostly picking up lesser quality research now, but it might all be useful. And we occasionally found maps to new points of interest. There were still a few more areas that we wanted to check. Blood spiders. There was the remnants of settlements here. Perhaps with the Bugmaster now gone, this place can rebuild one day. I think we've found as much as we're going to find. We would now head east to the United City of Drifter's Last. There was unrest in these lands between the noble elite and the farmers. The United Cities was not quite the beacon of hope they pretended to be, something Hammett would often echo to us. However, having been in Shun for several days now, any civilization was a welcome sight at this point. Within the barn there was already news spreading of the Bugmaster's defeat. The myths of what happened was already starting to take legs. It seems we were getting the blame for the human teeth the Bugmaster had kept. People were unable to realise that there was never any treasure, just a lot of skin spiders. Within the bar was also a couple of hive soldiers, Black Sheep and Shaku. Known for their loyalty, we could use their help protecting the fort. In return, we would feed, arm and train them into being our wardens. The squad welcomed the new recruits. Naturally, Savfk and the other hive soldiers would oversee their training. In the morning, when the shops opened for business, we were able to acquire some armour blueprints, including the knowledge of crafting samurai armour. Our next destination was the United City of Clownsteady. It was on the way to back home. We stopped for a break at the way station, but we were soon back on the road. We soon made it to Clownsteady, but we found nothing of interest here. Just another United City on the fringe, the growing unrest for their slave trading leadership. From Clownsteady, it was just north, through the swamp, and we would be back home in New Hope. We were home at last, but not before getting a quick welcome from the swamp ninjas. It was time to rest and prepare for our next excursions. We had a lot of work to do at home in terms of growing foods, making weapons, armour, training and preparing. We had lots of new research available to us now. But first things first, time to see what the Bugmaster can do in unarmed combat. My martial arts skill was better than his, but he was incredibly strong and fast. Not to mention tougher than any other opponent that we had ever faced. I was barely able to beat him. In the meantime, Silvershade was crafting the samurai armour quickly. Samurai armour is heavy, but very protective. The AI cores that we found meant that we could learn Edgewalker type blades, the most exceptional weaponsmithing knowledge. We could also learn a lot of other stuff, including stronger walls. Black Sheep was the first to get samurai armour. A hive soldier in samurai armour is a force to be reckoned with. Shaku soon joined him. They were very limited in their combat prowess for now. Being hiveless had weakened them, but we would strengthen them. They would someday be known as the Wardens of the fort. We learned strong defensive walls and set out upgrading New Hope. To make weapons and armour faster, we needed to increase our steel production. Lights would also help us work in the dark at night. Odin would go full samurai. Heavy weapons, heavy armour. The Wardens would get polearms and hackers as a sidearm. We learned skeleton limbs and could build a skeleton limb bench. Half a dozen 20-kilo generators would help strengthen up the Hive Wardens. By defeating the Bugmaster, the Shek now sought us out to prove their worth in Baal. The Berserkers were here to prove themselves. And the Hive traders were having trouble reading the room. The Baal didn't take long. We showed them unwanted kindness and gave medical aid to the most wounded. Big John would use the Black Dragon Ninja prisoners to darken his samurai armour. He was becoming our general in Baal. The training continued. These dafties would never learn. Let's go very heavy. That'll build our strength. Never mind the high soldiers, Big Joe's turned into an absolute monster. This is probably going to be one of my more stupid ideas, but in theory it trains dexterity, which determines attack speed. Hubris was almost my demise here. Fucking hell. I think I'm gonna need backup. It's usually me that puts them on the back foot. Humbling. Lesson learned. Never give the Bugmaster a sword. The Bugmaster was accustomed to training. He seemed to even like it. Perhaps in his mind, he is always preparing for some fight in the Ashlands. He was the perfect training prisoner. Steel sharpens steel. Very courteous of you to let me get up. The practice was making us stronger. Perhaps one day we will head into the Ashlands and see what the Bugmaster was looking for. But we weren't going to head to the Ashlands just yet. But we were going to venture out. To the south again, but more east. We know Catan and Morn are the cities in this region. But we have also heard stories of martial artists in the Bonefields and fishmen on the south coast. We'll keep space in our prison for whatever we find down there. And so, we began to head south. Through the swamp and then through the burning forest. There were some old ruins from an unknown faction. And in the distance we spied an old Empire outpost. There would likely be research here. It looks like there was also security spiders. We fought through the spiders, but unfortunately it was not the best research hall. and those spiders had torn us apart. Literally for Bongo. They took in his arm. Poor Bongo. He was an archer, so he needed his arm. We'd set up camp here and rest for a bit. A lot of us had leg injuries, which would slow us down. Unfortunately, it was Bongo's left arm that they took. We kept skeleton arms on us, but we only had right ones. Beep decided to do what Beep does best. He brought Bongo his severed arm. No, Beep. Run and buy a new one. I guess we'll have to accept a high quality arm for now and upgrade it when we find a better one. In fairness, Beep probably was more than 50% skeleton at this point. There we go. Sometimes a loss is an opportunity to upgrade. Time to get back on the move. We spotted a strange town sitting in the middle of the lagoon and decided to check there first. That's if we could calm our goo down long enough to get him there. Beak things. It turned out to be a tech hunter city known as Flats Lagoon, a safe haven for travellers and adventurers. The news of the Bugmaster continued to spread. The high-tech place was a good place to buy plate armor blueprints and a better arm for Bongo. The talk in town was mostly about the Ashlands to the east, but we were heading south. Next stop, Morn. Morn was a town that barely held on to its existence in the harsh bone fields. It was owned by the tech hunters, but classified as United City territory. Not that the United City could protect you or punish you out here. We would need to protect ourselves from adding our bones to this harsh desert.